What's going on, everybody? Landon here with Home Service Business Coach. Dave,
what's up, brother?
What's going on, man? How you doing today?
Good, man. Excited for this one. It's going to be good.
It'll be a good one, yeah. Because our thought came up in with our podcast, send us an email, landon@homeservicebusinesscoach.com. If there's a topic you guys want us to cover, right? Let us know. That's where this topic came up. The common stigmas around coaching. Should I get a mentor? All these different things. And Dave, both you and I think you a little bit more than me, have really invested into getting coaches, kind of these workshops, conferences, in-person events is something that I've actually taken a huge playbook the past 2 years out of your book and just constantly going through stuff, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Toastmasters to personal things, whatever that thing is. So Dave, you've been a coach 4 years. I mean, your whole life, but professionally 4 years.
Yep.
Pros and cons when hiring a coach. You've hired how many coaches as well too?
Yeah, a lot now. I kind of lost count, to be honest. It's more like I'm trying to do years now with hiring a coach, just string them back to back to back. So
yep.
I think on HSBC alone, we're already at our fourth coach going on our fifth. So It's almost like every year I'm looking to take the business to a new level, and that requires a new set of expertise, a new strategy. So I've been going at it a long time, man. And it's just something that I think you need to look in the mirror as a business owner and just answer the question A or B, like blue pill, red pill. Do you value time more or do you value money more?
Yeah.
And for me, it's been 5+ years valuing time more. And because that's the decision, the red pill, therefore I will part with hard-earned dollars to shortcut to collapse time. And what our boy Alex Hormozi says,
always,
we're paying down the ignorance tax. So if you're making 50 grand a year right now from your business and you want to make $1 million, he has an example, you got to pay down that ignorant tax of $950K.
Yeah, which is crazy if you think about it, right? And it's, it kind of jumps back into the Jobber podcast that we were filming before about the Gen Z workers, right? You and I, kind of same generation, 97, you're what, 1990?
89.
80,
oh, buddy, over here.
Buddy, come on. In that same generation, right? It's like, go to school, get yourself 120K in debt. And it's like, why? To pay down this ignorance tax, but give you credentials to go move into something, right? So with the experience with hiring coaches, for me overall, there's been some good decisions, there's been some bad decisions. I've made a bunch, I've lost a bunch. Never regretted it. Never have. I've always taken something away every single time.
Yeah.
And I think that is where I want to talk about today, pretty much. Our thoughts on coaching, our thoughts on coaching in general, the common stigmas around it. So, Dave, I'm going to set you up.
Let's do it.
Let's get really practical, linear. Pros and cons with hiring a coach. What are some of the pros? What are some of the cons in your eye?
I think I'll start, man, with I think the biggest misconception in the coaching space is you hire a business coach when you're stuck or you need motivation or a kick in the butt. And so I think when I was growing my business originally, you think it's like counseling, right? Oh, I don't need counseling. There's nothing to fix. No, it should be mandatory for every person because we want to all work on ourselves. So I think business coaching is just a segment of your life that you want to improve, but also the best people we've worked with in our program are just those that want to move faster. They're usually doing a couple $100 grand, $300-400K, and they're like, this is a good business right now, but I don't have my time, or I want to get to that $1 million mark, or I want to put that other truck on the road or hire the managers, whatever. So I think business coaching actually exists for the successful who just want to move quicker. So that's probably the biggest pro I see of business coaching, to your question, is just the ability to collapse time. And two, someone's already made all those mistakes because you're growing a pressure wash business, a landscape business, that's already happened millions of times over. There's no new ideas under the sun. And so why not go and figure out who's already done it? And so this is just a mindset I've had in growing my painting businesses, growing Revive, growing Home Service Business Coach. I'm always finding who is that target that's already gone somewhere I want to go, and then how can I for me, consume all their free stuff. And once that's exhausted, just saying, Dave, don't be dumb. Like, just put some money down and go and bet on yourself, because that's what business coaching is.
Absolutely, man. And like another question I'm going to propose to you guys and gals out there is like the top athletes on planet Earth. A guy named Tim Grover, Relentless, I believe, is one of the books he wrote. Phenomenal book. He coached Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Aaron Donald, Russell Wilson, among Olympic athletes and Super Bowl champs, you name it. Aaron Donald, let's take him for an example. He makes, I don't know, $5 million a year. Defensive MVP, Super Bowl champ. Dave, why the hell does this guy need a coach?
Yeah.
He's reached the pinnacle. He's reached the top. The most elite on, and if we go in a business avenue, you know, why do, you know, Elon Musk, I was listening to his book. He has had mentors still to this day. He's the richest man on earth. Why the hell does he need a mentor? Your Jeff Bezos, your Bill Gates, like your Warren Buffett's. He was mentored throughout his whole life. Him and Charlie Munger almost were like friends, but, you know, each other's coach. Why do the top of the top all have pay an egregious amount of money, $100,000 for a couple months of coaching? Why? They're just trying to close the top 1% gap.
Yeah.
And they will pay anything for it. But we speak to people all the time that are looking at a coach or in, imparting their money and investing in something. And I'm just like, what is your holdup? You will always make that money back, because that's been our experience. So
yeah, man. And it's like, it's scary to start your own business, right?
the biggest risk has been done already.
That's
though,
the
Dave.
thing.
Like you've already started a business.
Yep.
You've taken the biggest risk.
Yeah.
Everything else should be way lower. Yet, I guarantee you didn't contemplate for 6 years well, maybe you did. I shouldn't say that.
Usually not, though. It's usually a decision like, hey, I lost my job, or I'm starting to moonlight this thing on the side, and now it's time to dive in. But yeah, I think the coaching, why the holdup is, in my opinion, is home service business owners, they usually like tangible stuff, right?
Yep.
Like, we want to hold that pressure washer, that water-fed pole,
Rightfully so,
front end loader. Yeah, for sure, because that's how in our mind we equate value. But I think this whole space is changing, that there's value in information, in data, in knowing what your next steps are. And that's really where the right coaching program comes in. And one more thing with that, man, I think the internet is a beautiful thing, and it's also a scary thing, because I've been through 4 digital marketing agencies myself in growing Revive that I've not been happy with. And so I felt that as a consumer, this big promise on the front end and then a huge letdown on the back end. So I think without reading hundreds of testimonials, I would be a little bit skeptical myself as a consumer going into something. And that's where you should ask the service provider, like, do you have 100 testimonials for me? And if you don't, I think that could be an issue. That's how high of a bar I'd have as a consumer.
And another thing I want to rip on that point too. Good clients make a coach look really good as well too. What do I mean by that? My mentor, for example, when he tells me to do something, he doesn't tell me how to do it. He doesn't tell me when to do it. He doesn't tell me why to do it. He just says, you want to get here? Then do this. And guess what? I make him look really good because I do the thing. And I implement and I show up and I ask questions and I'm not afraid to look dumb and all these different things. That's it. If they have what you have already, check the box in their mind. Coaching is this, and mentorship, and even going through church programs or like anything we've had, the men's groups, the men's studies, none, like therapy, counseling, I mean, you name it, nothing works unless you do. You could have a guy like a Jordan Peterson be your psychologist, and he tells you everything. You guys are hitting on it, boom, 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 that hour session, you're hyped and pumped up, motivated, and then you get a bad phone call, and then that's gone, and then you don't do anything. And it's like a coach can only be so good in a real sense to their mentee. Tim Grover, he was dealing with a Michael Jordan. Whatever Tim told him to do, he was doing it.
I got a quote to pull up here on the old iPhone. This is a screenshot yesterday. My phone says at 7:30 in the morning. Everyone is jealous of what you've got but no one's jealous of how you got it. People see the trophies, but not the training ground. And this is exactly to your point, Landon. Like, people see that 3-4 truck, 7-figure operation, but they're not seeing behind the scenes. Hey, let's take head coach Jackson, right? Grows a 7-figure business, gets famous on Upflip, coaching a whole bunch of our guys, lives a great lifestyle. Like, he's seemingly on face value, the guy has it all, right? And then no one saw his journey coming up. I worked with him direct almost 2 years. He's invested in other coaching programs. He's put hundreds of thousands of dollars to growing himself and the brand. People don't see that, and they're not interested in that. They just want to see the Lambo.
That's essentially, that's it.
That's what we're getting into with this podcast. Like, it's a two-way street. The coach can talk till they're blue in the face, but at the end of the day, there's this famous quote, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink. I was on, let's just say, 100+ coaching calls with Jackson. I don't think there's a single one I was like, Jackson, let's really get after it today. Watch this motor. He just shows up and he's ready to go. Those are the best people to work with because you give them strategic direction. You don't get your soul sucked for like, I have to be this
motivator.
This is not what they were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely not. And like, that would probably come into like maybe a con about coaching, right? Is like, hey, if I am that motivated person, I want to make sure my money and time isn't wasted. And it's like, yeah, that's a freaking valid point, dude. But I always, at least with how I've made decisions, maybe it's too simplistic, is I just boil it down. Do they have what I want? Yes. Okay. Is the risk worth it? Yes. Okay. Whatever the money is, if it's 25,000, can I make that up within the time frame of the duration of the thing? So example, if it's 12 months, can I make $25,000 back in 12 months plus what I'm doing before? Okay. Yes, I can. Then it's like, why the hell would I not do this thing? Because again, like I've said personally, I'm telling you, I've been burned and I've always walked away. You know what? It's all in the mindset of, you know what? I would do it again. I would do it again because I took so much more than, losing the money. And even if the results weren't there, it's like me and myself, I grew so much as an individual. And it's that same thing. They just want to say, oh, Landon, did you get the Lambo? No. But how do you measure personal growth? It's that same thing. Yeah. Jackson with the struggle, like you with the struggle. It's
when you invest too, man, in coaching, you're effectively putting your chips on the table. Say, let's just say the program is $10,000 for a round number. I'm betting $10,000 on myself and the growth of my company. And there's all kinds of investments you can make, whether that's investing on the markets, whether that's going in with your buddy for a real estate investment. But again, back to Alex Hormozi, like I think this whole investing empire has been kind of glamorized, where we actually don't talk about what if you just went more in to the main thing that you're currently working on. So, I'm not saying don't invest elsewhere. I'm saying do that stuff after you've tended to the home front first and like built a really rock solid business. Because I think most listeners right now, if you just ask them, Landon, point blank, how much have you invested into your own entrepreneurial education? Most listeners, I would say, are south of $20,000. And if you're running a business that's growing, I actually don't think that's enough to really move the needle on growing something sustainable. So I would really say, look in the mirror first and say, how have you nurtured yourself and your business by parting with some dollars to grow something exponential?
Yeah, because you expect to, again, should I say this? Like, we're smart, we'll figure it out, but it's just like we've seen it, Dave, over and over and over and over again. It's like, man, when we sit here and tell you, like, if we like each other and if we can help you out, we can expedite your freaking path. And you are in the way because of a $10,000 per se investment. It's asinine to me. Dave, it's 10 grand. If you're 30 years old, you're going to work until, let's go 65, probably longer. That's 35 years, I'm just like,
let me share one more, man. We're at the huge convention. We took our guys off site for a dinner, and I'm sitting down with one of our members, Cody. I said, Cody, refresh me. what were you at in revenue when you came in? He was like mid twos, 250K-ish. He's over 500 grand this year. 1 year in, and next year going for $1 million. And we had dinner together, and it was just like he was normal. He put 10 grand in the program, added 250K on the top line, and now he's stacking to 7 figures. Young guy, under 30. I'm like, man. And he was telling me, like, you could charge more for this thing. I'm like, I know we could, Cody, but also we have to be cognizant of our market. Just because the value's there, so we want to price this as such that a home service contractor shows up and does the work, but also it's not over the top where they're freaking losing sleep. So that's just the amount of impact to quantify in dollars for listeners. Like, that's what you're missing out on, not shortcutting your success.
Man, I was just speaking with another member, Nick. I know we brought him up on plenty of times on the podcast before. He's like, I'm going to hit $1 million this year. And it's like, also too, on the relationship standpoint, I follow Nick on Instagram. We touch base. He's got a girlfriend now. So shout out Nick. Hope that works out for you. But just like that relationship, like part of my friends, we actually like give a shit. You know, but again, two-way street. If Nick wasn't showing up doing the work, if he came out to Vancouver, he came out to, like, the effort is mutual on both sides of the equation. Because again, if you're looking at this, and again, this is maybe coaching that's not talked about too, the consumer's always looking at, what am I ripping from? What am I scraping the resources? It's never what am I going to give? In our place is, what are we going to give? So it's almost like you have one person that's like, I want to take all I can. You have another person that's like, I want to give all I can. That is a good recipe for coaching, but the best is there's a mutual exchange, not just on a revenue 250 to 750 1 year, let's go. But like, you learn, so much from individuals.
Let's talk about the worst clients to coach, man.
Oh, buddy.
So I'll go take this one. So
no names.
We're coming up on 300 plus businesses that we've consulted, and so we've started to see some trends and some patterns. And I'll just rip off this for a couple minutes. I think the worst members that we've coached are ones that have excuses. They'll overly mention the political environment. They'll overly mention their market, the economy, the interest rates, all things that are significantly bigger than their $100,000 window cleaning. So I find their attention diverts left and right rather to like right in the mirror. Two, I think there is an overemphasis on the why. Like, why is this hard? Why is this happening to me? Why do I not feel like getting after it? The end of the day, like, how you feel is not relevant to how you're growing your business. You're just following the next step and staying like very objective. And then three, I think they tend to get very distracted, and they're how do I put this? They're majoring in the minors. They'll be looking at their copy on their website, which is important. But again, for a 100K business, we're probably not going to start with the copy of their website. They'll be looking at overly complex pay-per-click strategies on Google rather than, hey, you're working in a pretty sweet affluent residential neighborhood. Do you think the 20 neighbors that were out around that home you serviced were actually watching your service? So they'll miss out on that low-hanging fruit. So those would, for me, just be like three main ones.
And another one as well too, I've done that, it doesn't work. Because what does Hormozi say? Volume negates luck. And every single time, how much have you done? Oh, I've done this much. It's like, what would happen if you 4x that? Oh, well, I need to do another fancy this, that, and the third. And I'm not saying you don't have those things, but to your point, Dave, it's focusing in the minors. Another thing as well too, I want to shout out Brandon P. You know who you are. You're in the program. I spoke with Brandon at the Huge last year, and I really liked the guy, but I was like, to your point, these things were starting to come up. I spoke with him this year, and I'm like, what the heck happened to this guy? He was completely changed, and he is killing it in the program now. And he came on board and all that. And I was like, man, he went from kind of what you're talking about to like, no, Landon, I know what I need to do now. Like, I was this, now I'm just boom. And he's laser focused, and he is just crushing. So like, shout out. Nice. I know we said no names, but Brandon, like, shout out, brother. because I mean, you're killing it. And it just comes to like, challenge is good. Skepticism is good. But when you're challenging the person who's done the thing, not saying you shouldn't, but then you don't do the thing and you don't try for yourself because you're like, I know better.
Yeah.
It's just pride at the end of the day. It's like, oh, I've done this thing. It doesn't work. It's like, well, then why does it work for 100 and, other people right now, but you're the one that's you're not that special. So it's like this pride that, and I know it all. And
I think, man, too, like if you are a little on the intelligent side, I actually think you can be like tougher to coach because you try and overthink. Like if you look at intelligence myself 0 to 10, I'd probably grade myself like a solid 7. I'm like got some smarts, but by no means overthinking what's going on. So I'm like, coach is like, you need to door knock 200 houses this week. Cool. I'm going to probably do 205 just so I can show up and say,
yeah.
But I'm not going to get into like, why is he asking me? What about this? I'm just not looking really left and right.
Isn't that procrastination?
And just like general, just overthinking things. I think that I tend to have a go at some of our members too that kind of get in, it's a cliche, like you get in your own head. But I do think if you are trying to make this overly complex, like scaling up a trades business, it's actually a pretty simple path. It's just like the consistency to stick with it that people kind of fall off. They get like quick with it and get motivated and they don't get a quick win after doing marketing for a week. And then it's like, this doesn't work. So I think they're just lacking what Gary Vaynerchuk says, just generally like patience is lacking today in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, dude. I'm looking at and I 100% agree. And I'm going to drive this on with another point, personal. I'm looking at my stock portfolio and I'm not a guy that's going to try and catch the next Google. I'm going to see if what are the boring companies right now? I'm building my base. For a year and a half, I have been extremely diligent every couple of weeks, more and more and more. I was like, man. And then I was like thinking to myself, because I check it, I'm like, hold on a second. It's been a year and a half. And I'm like, now you're starting to see a little bit of the thing that is turning into. And I'm like, I was telling my girlfriend, I'm like, I feel like there's like a cheat code here. Like, I feel like everybody should know this. Like, why isn't everybody doing this? Like, this is a, pretty smart way. You have the business. Yes. You have the stocks. Yes. Let's focus. Or if that's real estate, have some sort of investment, right? And you have to invest in yourself to do that, right? We all get that. But I was like, I feel like it's almost like I have a trade secret right now. But if, right to your point, been a year and a half of, not really anything. And I'm like, okay, well, I trust, as Joel Embiid, the basketball player, says, trust the freaking process. And I find, you're right, I'm a person that can get over the way. We've had many conversations about marketing message, let's say with HSBC. You can overthink the thing, but at the same token, you got to start plugging away.
Yeah, but it depends on your personality too. Like for me, business coaching wasn't really a thing on my first coach. I went in on the end of 2014, so 10 years now.
Yeah.
I was backpacking through Asia, and it was a Lewis Howes podcast. Shout out to Lewis.
Oh, man, that OG.
And he said his business took off exponentially when he hired a coach. And I had this like running list of stuff to do when I was home. And that was like the first thing was
really,
go and hire a coach. So at the time I had like a 400-500 grand painting business, which was running, but I was not super stoked in scaling it because I was paying a royalty fee. Those of you that know my story. So I was kind of the first thing that caused me to go in with a business coaching program and then actually start to get the wheels turning through 2015 and 16 to create Revive. So it wasn't, that was kind of that experience of like, okay, like you need to go in with this. So for me,
were you thinking about it before?
No, not at all. Like
just listening to the podcast, you're like, you know what?
Yeah. But now like business coaching's a thing, right? And we can go online and see it. And I think if you took 10 business owners in the trade space, I would say maybe 2 or 3 of them have had some form of some coaching, which back then it just like wasn't really a thing. And
trade secret.
Yeah. And the group I got into, man, was just like, these guys were spending 10K on like Tony Robbins weekends. And I was just like, how are these guys doing this? And like your mindset, it opens up to a whole nother level. Because if you say nothing on this podcast is just to think about the quote, you don't know what you don't know.
Facts.
And that's the thing of like, we've had so many people come to us and say, the ultimate compliment is I've taken my 5-year business goals and I've collapsed them sometimes into a year, sometimes it's 2 or 3 years. But at the end of the day, for someone to come to us and say, you saved me 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, it's just like, for what the investment is, that's just like crazy.
No brainer.
Yeah, no brainer.
And yes, we're biased. Well, that leads us to like another thing here is like generalized information, right? Like you have to have some sort of structure. I wouldn't say it's generalized because it isn't. You have to have structure.
Yeah.
Right. But if we're talking about marketing, that would be like the label. It's like, okay, well, if you are, I have a friend's father, very successful business guy. He's getting right back into the food service game. I'm not going to say too much, but he's getting back into the food service game. This is like his 4th time. He's exited all 3 times.
Wow.
If we were to go to him and say, how do you market this thing? He's going to give you different advice than versus how do you market a software company or your home service company, your landscaping, your part. Like it's different forms. So like, I understand general marketing. Okay, yes, there's some things you're going to work, but like Dave, like if this isn't clear enough, home service business coach of like who we help, that is painters, landscapers, plumbers, electricians, junk removal. Like if you're in a home service business, this is the niche we help with. We're not so much into the contractors, I should say.
Yeah.
Like these kind of the bigger construction.
Home builders.
Not that, not our bread and butter. Could it apply 100%? But again, we want to deliver 10 out of 10. We wouldn't be 100% confident.
Yeah.
But generalized information, that's where coaching comes in. That's where your war plan call comes in. All these kind of different mechanisms that is individualized to you to fit your niche so that Cody Tench happens just like a Nick.
Yeah. And I think there's nothing wrong with general business advice, but I probably hear weekly a friend like text, email, hey, I'm doing this thing. Can you, and like, it's very tempting for me. Like, hey, I'm, growing this coffee shop or I'm going to be going into start a barber shop or like, so I'm always just like, hey, like, let's see your pricing. And like some of this stuff does apply, but generally I've made the decision, like, man, just stick into this trades niche, work with, owner operators who want to hire their team. They want to grow a real profitable business. And so I think we've really learned who we can really be a hero to. And it was my mentor, man. He said, Dave, look back 3-4 years ago, be a coach to Dave back then. So I'm like, cool. Dave was doing 155K, part-time employee, getting another truck on the road. And the next year growing to 582, what was all the stuff that happened there? That's a lot of like the synthesis that's dropped into our scaling blueprint program now. Like, cool, you're owner operator and adjust for inflation too. Like that could have been probably a bit more by now. But at the end of the day, that's really what got built. So, to kind of wrap up, I think we're cut from the same cloth on this one, man. But I also think
we're biased.
Yeah, but what makes a good business coach, I think, is a coach that practices what they preach. Yep. So 1, all of our coaches currently own their successful businesses. Yep. And 2, the owner, the founder here at HSBC, like we just went in on our another business coach for the second time to completely rebuild a bunch of systems that we're doing. So we're very much like practicing what we preach to, which I think comes through what you hear every day. Is you guys are just authentic and you're genuine. And there's this coaching program or this other one. And we're like, go for it. Like, go to the other one because we get people every month from another coaching program that didn't have a great experience. And finally, they just like commit. Yep,
absolutely. And you know what? At least you're making a decision. I'll be happy with that. Anybody that makes a decision, I am super happy with. Whether this coach, us, take my money and go buy a new truck. I mean, at least you're making a decision, right? Maybe it's not the right decision, and chances are we have experience, a lot of it, with, oh man, I should have done that thing sooner. Constant thing that we hear as well too. But yeah, I mean, I would love to talk about this so much. At the end of the day, basic thing. It's decision-making 101. Does it make sense? Yes. Okay. What is the upside? What is the downside? Okay. Then should I do this thing? Yes or no? Not, well, I'm going to think about it for a little bit. Like, you're just now, what are you doing? You're overthinking the thing, man.
And like, I don't like having stuff to think about, man.
No.
Even my wife is like, we're talking about this concert she's going to go to. Is like, you know, should she drive? Should she take the SkyTrain? And she's like, honestly, we can think on it. We'll talk about it. No, let's do this right now. Let's figure out a game plan. Give me Google Maps. Boom, boom, boom. 10 minutes later, okay, here's the plan. For me to like store that physically in my brain, I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
You have finite capacity as an entrepreneur. You've got to keep at least, I believe, 30% of your brain clear of white space so you can be creative. If you're going to think on a business coaching program, you're going to think if you're going to go on a date with that person, you're going to think if you're going to hire that person. Like, stuff hits a CEO's desk one time, and if you can touch it once and deal with it, then do it. And big stuff needs to think on, right? A huge partnership deal, or that's fine. But the stuff here and now, like, you've seen enough client results, you know you need help. Like, there's nothing more to think on. You're just costing yourself more peace of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I always like to think, what would the CEO of Disney making, I think, 12 mil a year? What is his decision-making process? And maybe, I don't know, a lot of people don't think like that, but it's always like, I look to like the highest of their thing, and I'm like trying to reverse engineer of like, what's their decision-making? Okay, well, if you have 5,000 tasks on your desk per day, you probably have to have a 1 to 2 to 3 question checklist. You rifle off in a millisecond, and then boom, and you live with the decision because you've made it, not... Oh, no. It's like, no wonder things aren't working in your business. Like,
so stop thinking, start doing. So
yeah, man.
Where do we wrap up, man? Someone listened to us. We're 40 minutes in.
Yeah.
What do they do from here? How do they get a hold of you?
Man, so you can text my number, 778-697-8961. Puppy right here. That's my phone.
Personal number.
Personal, baby. Girlfriend's got it as well, too. Join an exclusive club. So anyways, you can do that. Book the link as well too. It asks you a couple of questions. We got to know information about your business if we can help. And then just, do your research on us. Like, we are internet gurus. We are an information company. We're a coaching company. We're an online company. We can say, Dave, we can say whatever the heck we want.
Yeah.
Just check, do 5 minutes of homework. Does these guys make sense? Are they legit? It's a yeah or no. It's not a, I need 3 weeks to think on the thing.
Let me ask this, man.
Yeah.
We're looking at stats. You've been on 1,483 assessment calls.
Yep.
You've onboarded 280 clients at time. That's less than 20%.
Yeah.
But last month, we also had our second best month ever in HSBC history. So tell me, what are people saying? And two, why are they joining? Because I think they're starting to hear enough of content like this that they're just saying, I'm ready, landed, let's go. So talk me through what happened last month.
So essentially, I always ask this question. Let's say we have a call and for whatever reason, you're like, no, I'm going to wait. It's like, okay. Year 2, 3 years. We've had people that have come and joined us 3 years later. And the question I ask is, who did you have a call with that for 2 years have waved their hands and been like, hey, we can help whenever you want to get out of your own way? And they say, nobody. And I said, okay, why do we do that? Well, I guess you really care. I guess you really mean it. It's like, yeah, we actually give a shit. Because if we can help you, well, hello, you're going to hear from me, right?
Yeah.
So that would be one thing on the longer term. On the shorter term, it just makes sense. It's, I looked you guys up and you guys are legit. And again, if I can, almost that ignorance test, if I can compress time, I'd be an idiot not to do this thing.
Right.
I thought it was going to be $25,000. It's this? Oh, it's not cheap. Definitely not. But holy crap, this is a steal.
Yeah.
And then you get everything else. So the leads, the hiring, the organization, I don't know my next steps. Where do I go from here? How do I scale 255? Those never change, Dave. But the individual, I think, that we are attracting after this time is like, it just makes sense. Yeah, let's do this thing.
It's almost like they're around us for sometimes a month, sometimes 3 years, anywhere in between. And it's almost like they have their light bulb moment to say, this just makes so much sense, or Hormozi for the third time, it's an offer they'd feel kind of dumb saying no to.
Like I had a call with a guy on the island, great young guy. I was like, man, I was so stoked on this kid, right? I was like, man, we can kill it. After talking through it's his first year in business, this type of stuff, I was like, man, you know what? I know that if a springtime start for this kid, we got to get him earlier, maybe February, so we actually have time to build the thing, would probably be a little bit better. Like, let's get him under there. So it's like, could I have used all these crazy sales tactics? Yes. But at the end of the day, it would probably be more beneficial to go with February. And we talked this thing out, and he's like, holy shit, thank you so much. I can't believe you actually are going to do X, Y, Z. It's like, yeah, dude, like if it makes more sense to do it then. And I'm seeing that as well too. We'll have an issue when it's like you're not thinking clearly, and it's like maybe we should do the thing. We should take the winter to build the business, and October, November, December, which is just a better plan than February, but everybody's in a unique position. Right. We're them to guide. Here's options for you. Which one do you kind of want to go with? But I don't want to sit, here's your options. That's why, because every time these guys, year 2, 3 years, every single time they were just at the huge, man, I wish I would have done this thing sooner. Every single time.
They're almost embarrassed to bump into you because you follow up and you're like, your business is still in the same spot and we're not going anywhere. So it's kind of just like a funny
We just keep getting better.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah. But people need to join at their own time. And I think at the end of the day, like I said, you're committing to yourself and your success. And that's a very internal decision, but also one that if you wait too long, like Landon's probably just going to give you a kick in the butt, or like just revoke the offer completely.
Yeah, 100% agree. Well, that's where it comes to the 1483 and 280, right? Like, if I can help you, you will hear from me. If we've had a conversation, if you haven't heard from me,
probably not a fit.
Yeah, but it's, it's difficult to tell somebody that.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of angry conversations. If I'm like point blank, look, we probably can't help you, and then it's like super weird. It's like they want in. It's basic psychology.
Join our contractor club too. Is a great
we have podcasts. We got YouTube. Like we have a whole bunch. The contractor club. Peter, 83K in 8 months. Free community training. Love it.
Yeah,
it's why it's there.
Yeah,
probably a good place to start. And then maybe you never know. You have a change and something changes, right? You never know. But yeah, long-winded on that, man. We could go on and on and on, but Coaching Stigmas HSBC from two extremely biased guys at Home Service Business Coach, trying to be unbiased, give you your honest feedback to personal experience. Number here, link here, chat with me personally. We'll leave our website down below. We'll leave our results below. If you, again, topic, podcast, you have something, Landon at homeservicebusinesscoach.com. Other than that, Dave,
appreciate it, brother.
Always good. Guys, take care.
See ya.